Yeah.
Go, guys, go!
History is resplendent with tales of conquests and power, often made possible through the utilization of ingenious weaponry. This video journeys back in time to explore 15 of the most remarkable ancient weapons. These inventions, born of necessity and innovation, transformed warfare, shaped empires, and left lasting impacts. Each weapon tells a story of human ingenuity, ambition, and the relentless pursuit of dominance. Number 1. Greek fire, Byzantine Empire. Born from the skilled alchemists and engineers of the Byzantine Empire, Greek fire emerges as a prominent symbol of ancient war innovation. This weapon, shrouded in as much mystery as it is in flames, was the nightmare of many a seafaring invader and a significant factor in the survival and supremacy of the Byzantine Empire during the Middle Ages. The exact composition of Greek fire, a type of incendiary weapon, remains a mystery to this day, having been a closely guarded state secret. It was said to continue burning even on water, and it could not be extinguished easily, making it especially effective in naval warfare. The Byzantines used it extensively to defend Constantinople during the Arab-Byzantine Wars. The typical deployment method of Greek fire was through a tube-like weapon, often likened to a flamethrower, called a siphon. This contraption allowed Byzantine ships and defenses to spew jets of the burning liquid toward their enemies, thus causing panic and chaos in the enemy ranks. Additional delivery systems included earthenware pots or grenades thrown by hand or via catapults from the defensive walls of the city. The psychological impact of Greek fire on enemies was as substantial as the physical. Flames that could not be put out easily, the sight of burning ships, and the prospect of being a victim were enough to shatter the morale of the bravest warriors. In the dark hours of night warfare, the ominous glow of the weapon created a terrifying spectacle, often leading to a hasty retreat of the attackers. Greek fire played a critical role in multiple sieges of Constantinople, most notably during the Second Arab Siege of 717, where it reportedly decimated the Arab navy. It also proved its might during the sieges by the Rus in 941 and the Venetians during the Fourth Crusade in 1204. Number 2. Sarissa, Macedonian. Within the annals of ancient warfare, few weapons match the transformative influence of the sarissa. This lengthy spear was the cornerstone of the famous Macedonian phalanx, a tactical formation that brought Alexander the Great his empire, stretching from Greece to Egypt and as far east as India. The sarissa, developed by King Philip II of Macedon, Alexander the Great's father, was a significant departure from traditional hoplite warfare. A typical sarissa was around 4 to 6 meters in length, dwarfing the spears used by most Greek city-states at the time, which were typically only 2 to 3 meters long. This substantial length, while unwieldy in inexperienced hands, conferred significant advantages in the right formation. The Macedonian phalanx, designed around the use of the sarissa, was a close-knit formation of heavy infantry soldiers known as phalangites. These soldiers were positioned so closely together that the first 5 ranks of spears would protrude out from the front of the formation, creating a bristling wall of pointed death for any adversary. The long reach of the sarissa meant that enemies were usually skewered long before they could engage the Macedonians. The phalanx was highly effective on flat, open terrain, where it could maintain its cohesion, but was vulnerable in rough or hilly terrain where the formation could be disrupted. Despite this vulnerability, the devastating impact of a well-drilled phalanx on the battlefield was undeniable. One notable instance of its effectiveness was at the Battle of Gaugamela in 331 BC, where Alexander's forces were vastly outnumbered by the Persian army led by King Darius III. Despite the disparity in numbers, Alexander's clever use of the sarissa-based phalanx led to a decisive victory. However, the sarissa was not only a weapon of war, but also a tool that enforced discipline and unity among the ranks. The phalanx formation demanded absolute synchronization and obedience, transforming a mob of individual fighters into a single cohesive unit. Number 3. The Kopesh, Egypt. When one imagines ancient Egypt, the mind conjures visions of magnificent pyramids, imposing sphinxes, and powerful pharaohs. Among this vibrant tapestry of historical marvels, one weapon stands out as an iconic symbol of Egyptian might and innovation: the khopesh. The khopesh is an ancient Egyptian weapon that signifies power and authority. Its design is as distinctive as its legacy. Unlike conventional straight swords, the khopesh boasts a unique, sickle-like shape, with the cutting edge on the weapon's convex outer part. Its distinctive shape has roots in the agricultural tools used in the Nile Valley, primarily the sickle, but it evolved into a specialized weapon by around 2000 BC. Approximately 60 centimeters in length, the khopesh was shorter than many swords of the era. However, what it lacked in reach, it more than made up for in versatility. The weapon's unique design allowed for slashing, hooking, and even piercing. The curved blade could reach around an enemy's shield, rendering traditional defenses less effective. It was a weapon designed for close-quarters combat, favoring the brave and the bold. While the khopesh was a practical weapon, it was also a powerful symbol. Possession of a khopesh was a status symbol, often seen in the hands of pharaohs or their trusted generals. Its presence in numerous Egyptian works of art underscores its cultural significance and association with the upper echelons of society. Perhaps the most famous wielder of the khopesh was the pharaoh Tutankhamun. His tomb, discovered virtually intact in 1922, contained two khopesh swords, signifying the weapon's symbolic importance. The pharaoh Ramesses II, known as Ramesses the Great, was also depicted in carvings wielding a khopesh during the Battle of Kadesh against the Hittites. It's important to note that the influence of the khopesh extended beyond Egypt's borders. The weapon was adopted by neighboring civilizations, including the Canaanites and Israelites, and it heavily influenced the design of Greek and Roman sickle swords and the Persian asinaces. Number 4. The atlatl, various indigenous cultures. In the vast landscape of ancient weaponry, few tools can claim to have had as widespread usage as the atlatl. Dating back to the Upper Paleolithic era, the atlatl, also known as a spear thrower, is a primitive yet highly effective weapon that was used by various indigenous cultures across the globe. The atlatl operates on a simple yet profound principle of physics: leverage. The device, usually around 1-2 feet long, serves as an extension of the thrower's arm, allowing for increased speed and distance when hurling a dart or spear. This simple mechanism provided a significant advantage in hunting and warfare by extending the reach and power of the human arm. Among the many cultures that employed the atlatl, the Aztecs are perhaps the most well-known. The Aztecs, known for their martial culture and prowess in battle, refined the atlatl for use in warfare. They utilized a variety of dart tips, including obsidian and copper, and even developed a special type of atlatl dart known as a tlacochtli that was fletched in a way to create a whistling sound when thrown, adding a psychological element to its use in combat. However, the use of the atlatl was not limited to the Americas. Archaeological evidence shows that it was used by ancient cultures worldwide from Europe to Australia. It was the primary long-range weapon system for thousands of years until the advent of the bow and arrow. The atlatl's power lay not only in its utility as a weapon, but also in its accessibility. It was relatively easy and quick to construct from readily available materials, making it a highly practical tool for ancient cultures. With just a piece of wood, bone, or antler and a stone or bone dart tip, one could create a weapon capable of bringing down large game or felling an enemy at a distance. Number 5. The Makahu, Aztec. Few weapons from the annals of history capture the imagination quite like the Makahu. This unique weapon, a symbol of the Aztecs' fierce warrior culture, stands out not just for its fearsome design, but also for the fascinating civilization that wielded it. The Makahu, sometimes referred to as the Aztec sword, was a wooden club-like weapon embedded with a series of sharpened obsidian blades along its sides. The term Makahu derives from the Nahuatl language and can be translated as handwood, indicative of its basic design. It ranged in size from one-handed versions, akin to a traditional sword, to larger two-handed versions that were nearly the height of a man. The weapon's unique design, a combination of wooden club and razor-sharp obsidian, was both practical and deadly. The wooden body of the Makahu gave it the necessary heft to deliver powerful blows, while the embedded obsidian blades, sharper than even high-quality steel, could cause horrific injuries. It was said that a skilled warrior could use a Makahu to decapitate a horse with a single strike. The Makahu was more than a weapon of war, however. It was also a tool of ritual. For the Aztecs, warfare was deeply intertwined with religion. Many battles were fought to capture prisoners for religious sacrifices rather than for conquest or plunder. As such, the Makahu became associated with these religious practices and was often used in ritual combat. Yet, despite its formidable presence on the battlefield and in ritual combat, the Makahu disappeared shortly after the Spanish conquest of the Aztec Empire. The Spanish, equipped with metal armor and firearms, held a technological advantage, and the native populations were devastated by disease. The knowledge and skill required to craft these unique weapons were lost, and the Makahu faded into obscurity. Today, the Makahu lives on as a symbol of the Aztec warrior spirit. While no original Makahu survive, their depictions in Aztec art and their descriptions in early colonial texts have allowed modern craftsmen to recreate these weapons, thus offering a tangible link to this lost piece of Mesoamerican history. Number 6. Chonu, China. The Chonu, also known as the Chinese repeating crossbow, is a testament to the ancient Chinese knack for inventive engineering and warfare efficiency. As a weapon that redefined the battlefield and the role of archers, the Chonu's design and impact are as intriguing as they are significant. The distinguishing feature of the Chonu is its repeating mechanism, a feature that set it apart from the conventional crossbows of the time. Instead of being limited to one shot before reloading, a wielder of the Chonu could fire multiple bolts in rapid succession thanks to its lever-activated loading system. This innovative design enabled a higher rate of fire, with a practiced user capable of launching up to 10 bolts per minute. Each bolt was tipped with a small iron or bronze head, and while they lacked the power to pierce armor at a distance, their rapid-fire ability made them devastatingly effective against lightly armored or unarmored opponents. The bolts could also be dipped in poison, adding another level of lethality to this already formidable weapon. The invention of the Chonu is often attributed to the famous Chinese strategist Zhuge Liang, 181-234 AD, though evidence suggests that versions of this weapon were in use long before his time. Regardless of its true origin, the Chonu became a staple of Chinese warfare, used with devastating effect in both defensive and offensive roles. Besides its military application, the Chonu also represented a tactical shift in warfare. Its design allowed it to be used effectively by less trained soldiers, which meant that armies could arm and deploy archers more quickly and in greater numbers. This efficiency was a game-changer, enabling commanders to effectively employ strategies reliant on volume of fire rather than individual marksmanship. Despite its historical significance, the Chonu fell into obscurity with the advent of gunpowder weaponry. However, its legacy remains intact as an emblem of Chinese ingenuity and as a weapon that changed the face of warfare. It's also worth noting that the principles behind the Chonu can be seen in modern automatic weaponry, which also relies on rapid repeated fire. Number 7. The Falcata, Iberian Peninsula. The Falcata, a weapon uniquely shaped and fiercely effective, hails from the Iberian Peninsula, known today as Spain and Portugal. Predominantly used by the ancient Celtiberians, Lusitanians, and other pre-Roman tribes, the falcata is a weapon that combines function, design, and a distinct cultural signature. The falcata stands out with its forward-curving blade, designed for hacking and slashing, much like a modern machete. Its single-edged blade was reputed for its sharpness and strength. The blade's shape, broad at the hilt and tapering towards the point, concentrates the force of a blow onto a small area, increasing its lethality. The falcata was primarily a weapon of war, capable of delivering devastating cuts and capable of piercing armor when thrust with enough force. What sets the falcata apart even more is its handle, often crafted to resemble a horse or a bird. The handles were typically made of bone or horn, and the attention to detail displayed in their carving is evidence of the significant craftsmanship and cultural value ascribed to these weapons. The falcata's effectiveness in battle didn't go unnoticed. Historical accounts suggest that even Roman soldiers, after experiencing its devastating blows, began to adopt the weapon. The Romans, known for their pragmatic approach to warfare, incorporated useful tactics and tools from the enemies they encountered, and the falcata was no exception. Despite the effectiveness of the falcata and its adoption by one of history's most formidable military forces, it disappeared after the Roman conquest of the Iberian Peninsula. The Roman gladius, more straightforward to produce and train with, replaced it. However, the legacy of the falcata lived on in the gladius hispaniensis, a Roman sword design heavily influenced by Iberian weapons. Today, the falcata is a symbol of the Iberian Peninsula's pre-Roman cultures, a testament to their martial prowess and artistic skills. Although no original examples of the falcata survive, its depictions on ancient pottery and descriptions in historical texts have allowed for modern reproductions, keeping the spirit of this unique weapon alive. Number 8. The Urumi, Indian subcontinent. Venture into the realm of South Asian martial history, and you'll encounter the Urumi, a weapon as unique as it is deadly. Originating from the Indian subcontinent, the Urumi is an epitome of the blend of dance, combat, and spiritualism often seen in South Asian martial traditions. At first glance, the Urumi may seem an anomaly among traditional weapons. It features a long, flexible, whip-like blade made from one or more strips of metal. The flexibility of the blade, which can be coiled around the waist when not in use, and the fluid movements required to wield it have resulted in a fighting style that looks as much like a dance as a martial exercise. Despite its seemingly graceful form, the Urumi is a fearsome weapon. The flexible blade can reach around shields and parries, making it hard to defend against. It requires significant training and skill to wield effectively, with practitioners needing to be mindful not just of where their weapon is going, but where it has been to avoid self-infliction. The Urumi continues to feature prominently in the traditional martial art form of Kalaripayattu, practiced in the Indian state of Kerala. It's not just a weapon of war, but also a spiritual tool, its practice integrating physical prowess, mental discipline, and spiritual principles. Number 9. The Trishula, Indian subcontinent. The Trishula, a three-pronged spear, is another weapon deeply embedded in the cultural and spiritual fabric of the Indian subcontinent. While it has martial applications, the Trishula is primarily a symbol of divine power and is most commonly associated with the Hindu deity Shiva. As a weapon, the Trishula's 3 points can be used to attack or defend against multiple opponents, making it a versatile tool in combat. The 3 prongs also make it an effective hunting weapon, trapping prey to prevent escape. However, the Trishula's significance extends far beyond its practical use. The 3 points are rich with symbolism, often representing a variety of trinities such as creation, preservation, and destruction, or past, present, and future. As an emblem of Shiva, the Trishula symbolizes his power to destroy evil and ignorance. Although the Trishula may not be as commonly seen on the battlefield today, it still plays a crucial role in religious ceremonies and iconography across the Indian subcontinent. The spiritual significance of the Trishula underpins its unique status among ancient weapons, making it a symbol of divine authority and a physical representation of deeper philosophical concepts. Number 10. The Hatcha, Korean. The Hatcha, a medieval weapon of Korean design, holds a unique place among ancient weaponry due to its impressive fusion of technology and firepower. A hybrid of a cart and a mobile artillery platform, the Hatcha was essentially a rocket launcher on wheels, capable of firing multiple projectiles in rapid succession. The Hatcha's most distinctive feature is its array of launch tubes, typically numbering in the hundreds, each loaded with a singgijeon, a type of fire arrow. Upon ignition, these arrows would be launched in a devastating salvo, raining fire down upon the enemy. The Hatcha's effectiveness was demonstrated in several historical battles, most notably during the Imjin War, 1592-1598, when Korean forces used them to great effect against invading Japanese armies. Despite their firepower, the complexity and cost of constructing and operating Hatchas meant they were never available in large numbers. What's particularly intriguing about the Hatcha is its anticipation of modern rocket artillery. While it might seem rudimentary compared to today's technology, the principles behind it, massed, rapid-fire, indirect-fire weaponry, remain a key component of modern warfare. This pioneering weapon is a testament to the ingenuity of Korean military engineers of the past. Number 11, the Francisca, Frankish. The Francisca, a throwing axe of the early Middle Ages, is a weapon closely associated with the Franks, Germanic tribes that inhabited what is now France and the Low Countries. Combining practical functionality with tactical advantage, the Francisca holds a distinctive place among the weapons of ancient Europe. The design of the Francisca is characterized by its curved head, offset from the handle, and a heavy, pointed blade. This design imbued the Francisca with a deadly characteristic. When thrown, it would revolve end over end, causing unpredictable trajectories and making it difficult for enemies to dodge or block. The Francisca was not just a weapon of war, but also a tool of intimidation. The sight of a volley of Franciscas whirling towards an enemy line, coupled with the distinctive sound they made, would have been a chilling spectacle, perhaps enough to break the morale of less disciplined foes. The use of the Francisca declined with the end of the Frankish tribes, but its legacy endured. It became a symbol of the Franks, so much so that it gave its name to the Frankish kingdom, Francia, and, by extension, modern France. Today, the Francisca is remembered as a formidable weapon that encapsulates the martial spirit of the early medieval period in Europe. Number 12. The war elephant, Persian, Indian, and Carthaginian. The war elephant, as a concept, might seem almost mythical, a creature of fable and legend. Yet these magnificent beasts were, in fact, one of the most formidable weapons of the ancient world, employed on battlefields across the Indian subcontinent, Persia, and the Mediterranean. These enormous pachyderms were specially trained for combat. Armored with imposing towers known as howdahs, mounted on their backs and carrying soldiers armed with bows and javelins, they were the ancient world's equivalent of tanks. Capable of causing devastation and panic in enemy ranks, war elephants could turn the tide of a battle. The historical use of war elephants is most associated with the Carthaginian general Hannibal, who famously crossed the Alps with these beasts to invade Roman Italy during the Second Punic War. But their use extends beyond the Carthaginians, with the Persians and several Indian kingdoms also deploying them in their armies. While war elephants were undoubtedly an impressive force, they were not without their flaws. They were challenging to control, and if panicked, they could cause as much damage to their side as to the enemy. Eventually, the use of war elephants declined due to their high maintenance costs and the development of countermeasures by enemy forces. Number 13. The Pilum Roman. The Pilum, the iconic throwing spear of the Roman legions, is a standout example of Roman military innovation. Combining lethal efficiency with clever engineering, the Pilum holds a distinguished place in the pantheon of ancient weapons. What set the pilum apart from other spears was its design. A typical pilum consisted of a long iron shank attached to a wooden shaft. The iron shank, often softer and bendier than the tip, was designed to bend upon impact, preventing the enemy from throwing it back and making it difficult to remove from a shield or body. Used primarily in the opening stages of a battle, a volley of pila could disrupt enemy formations and lower morale, creating gaps for the Roman legions to exploit. Moreover, a pilum stuck in an enemy's shield made it unwieldy, often forcing the opponent to discard it and thus lose their protection. The pilum, like many aspects of the Roman military, evolved over time. Different variations appeared, such as the heavier pilum that could penetrate shields more effectively, demonstrating the Romans' adaptability and their commitment to refining their tools of war. Today, the pilum remains one of the defining symbols of the Roman legions. It is a testament to the Romans' tactical ingenuity and their understanding of psychological warfare. The pilum is not just a weapon, but also a symbol of Rome's military might and the innovative spirit that helped establish an empire. Number 14. The Plumbata, Roman. Another remarkable weapon from the Roman arsenal is the plumbata, a dart-like missile that was used in later periods of the Roman Empire. Despite its seemingly simple design, the plumbata is a weapon that showcases the Romans' understanding of aerodynamics and their continuous drive for tactical innovation. The plumbata consists of a long, thin iron shaft with a fletched tail for stability during flight and a weighted, pointed head for penetration. The name plumbata derives from the Latin word plumbum, meaning lead, which was commonly used to weight the dart's head. This design enabled the plumbata to be thrown over long distances with devastating effects. Roman soldiers typically carried several plumbatae into battle, stored in their shield's hollow for quick access. When hurled, the plumbata would soar high into the air before plunging down onto the enemy, causing injury and sowing chaos among the ranks. Although the plumbata was not as iconic as the gladius or pilum, it played a vital role in the Roman military strategy. By combining the long-range capabilities of a bow with the disruptive impact of a javelin, the plumbata helped the Romans maintain their battlefield dominance. Number 15. The trebuchet, various European cultures. Moving from handheld weapons to siege engines, the trebuchet stands as one of the most iconic weapons of the Middle Ages. Originating in ancient China and later adopted by various European cultures, the trebuchet symbolizes the evolution of warfare and the rise of engineering in battle strategy. The trebuchet is a type of catapult that uses a counterweight to launch projectiles. The design features a long wooden arm, with the counterweight at the short end and the projectile in a sling at the long end. When released, the counterweight swings the arm upwards, propelling the projectile towards the enemy with great force. What made the trebuchet such a powerful weapon was its ability to launch heavy projectiles over long distances. Rocks, fireballs, and even diseased animals or corpses could be hurled into or over enemy walls, causing destruction, fire, and disease within the enemy ranks. The trebuchet remained a formidable siege weapon until the advent of gunpowder and cannons. Today, it's a symbol of medieval warfare, a testament to the ingenuity and engineering skills of our ancestors. The trebuchet reminds us of a time when the power to destroy walls and fortresses came not from the raw power of explosives, but from the clever application of physics and mechanical design.